As rare creatures, INFJs have their own peculiar set of problems. What are some of the common INFJ problems? Let's have a look. Number 1. Interested in too many things. As creatures with insatiable curious minds that eagerly look for new abstract territory to fervently traverse, INFJs easily run into the problem of being interested in too many things. When it comes to interests, hobbies, and leisure activities, the INFJ is interested in a multitude of options which can range all the way from philosophy to brewing beer to collecting 80s VHS tapes. Just have a look at an INFJ's bookshelf to see what I mean. They might be reading a couple of books at the same time and have even more waiting in queue. When it comes to career paths and business ideas, INFJs can easily optimistically envision many different potential options and somehow think they should pursue at least a couple of them at the same time. Despite the abundance of interests, ideas, and potential pathways in life, the INFJ's scattershot curiosity can lead to paralysis when it comes to choosing what to extensively focus on and may make INFJs a jack of all trades, master of none if they're not careful. Number 2. Perfectionism. INFJs are known to be tireless idealists, a trait that most likely stems from the INFJ's strong need for beauty in their lives. For example, the INFJ's keen eye for aesthetics, need for harmonious social relationships, and strong appetite for an inspiring, meaningful, balanced life full of wonder. Aiming for the ideal is a beautifully romantic pursuit on its own. Yet, when we look a little closer, there seems to be a thin line between idealism and perfectionism. Idealism as the practice of pursuing ideals can easily turn into perfectionism, where that same pursuit of ideals now becomes a rigid, obsessive-compulsive, and hyper self-critical endeavor. Because idealism and perfectionism seem so closely linked, it's no wonder that many INFJs regularly go overboard on their idealism and struggle with perfectionism. INFJs may be extremely self-critical for not meeting their self-imposed high standards to the point of depression, anxiety, and mental paralysis. Number 3. Too strong a sense of responsibility. INFJs are usually very responsible individuals, thoroughly thinking things through before making a decision, making sure social interactions with others are harmonious, being unrelenting in their devotion to introspection and character growth, having a preference to bring structure to their day by planning activities, and due to the INFJ's conscientiousness and diligence, aiming for those activities to be very productive as well. All are examples of the INFJ's responsible attitude. However, that sense of responsibility can be a very slippery slope towards hyper-responsibility when the INFJ's heightened sensitivity and empathy also enter into the mix. As often highly sensitive individuals, the INFJ's sense of responsibility may expand too far out into the interpersonal domain. Due to the INFJ's highly sensitive nature, they easily pick up on other people's emotions, moods, and energies, become hyper-aware of those, and now might feel responsible for them. So INFJs may be hyper-focused on not hurting anyone's feelings, even at their own detriment, by not being honest, for example. Or they may take the feelings of strangers into consideration in the same way as they would of a close friend, even though the INFJ doesn't owe those strangers that same courtesy based on the nature of their superficial relationship. Or the INFJ's sense of responsibility may go into overdrive by stuffing their day with excessive productive tasks, even though it's their day off and the INFJ actually needs to rest. Number 4. Late bloomers. Have you ever seen the movie The Curious Case of Benjamin Button? Throughout the movie, the main protagonist ages in reverse. So he starts off as an elderly man and physically rejuvenates over the years until he reaches infancy. In my opinion, a great alternative title for the movie could have been The Curious Case of the INFJ. INFJs tend to be peculiar late bloomers who seem to emotionally and psychologically mature in reverse. Often INFJs start off as sensible, responsible, and socially aware, well-mannered youngsters. It seems that the INFJ's development in many aspects is out of sync with those of their peers. In contrast to their more rebellious, adventurous, and sensation-seeking teenage peers, adolescent INFJs may appear more self-controlled, ethical, and accountable, perhaps bordering on the boring and timid, if you'd ask their peers. INFJ teens are often not as preoccupied with those things that normal teenagers are at that stage of life. Rebel, explore the world, take risks, party, sensation-seeking, unapologetically assert one's emerging identity, and take up space in the world, for instance. INFJ teens may be more concerned with the larger life questions and themes, like the meaning of life, developing a personal ethical framework, altruism, character growth, social wisdom, philosophy, etc. Usually, these are more serious themes that become increasingly more prominent a bit later in early adulthood for most people. Conversely, the themes that most teens concern themselves with, like experimenting, exploring, rebelliousness, playfulness, sensation-seeking, often come up later in the INFJ's adulthood. Sadly, sometimes a bit too late, as the INFJ might feel some remorse around not exploring those themes earlier in their lives, in sync with their peers, which might have been conducive to a sense of belonging, a sense many INFJs do not have within this world. Number 5. Toxic shame. Not feeling that you belong within this world could also be a marker of toxic shame, as INFJs are one of the rarest personalities out there, making up roughly only 1% of the population. Feeling that you belong within a society with people that are mostly different than you can be a real challenge. For this reason, a lot of INFJs feel alien, ashamed and ridiculed for their peculiar, sensitive and otherworldly disposition, and experience chronic loneliness. The shame from being different and not understood nor accepted, which many INFJs perhaps had to deal with growing up, can turn into toxic shame when it's pervasive, chronic, and intense enough. Renowned counselor, self-help author, and expert on toxic shame, John Bradshaw, writes in his book, Healing the Shame That Binds You, the following: "What I discovered was that shame as a healthy human emotion can be transformed into shame as a state of being. As a state of being, shame takes over one's identity. To have shame as an identity is to believe that one's being is flawed, that one is defective as a human being. Once shame is transformed into an identity, it becomes toxic and dehumanizing."
See, because when you're shame-based, it's always like this hunter is coming, and he's going to catch you. You're going to get off guard one day, and they're going to catch you. And they're going to find out that you really are flawed and defective, because that's what toxic shame feels like.
I think INFJs are more at risk of developing that shame due to their sensitivity, personality makeup, and rareness. If you think you might be struggling with toxic shame, please check the description of this video for some helpful resources. Number 6. Finding a romantic partner. Remember that we've discussed the INFJ's idealism and perfectionism before? One domain in which these two concepts are strongly prevalent for most INFJs is romantic relationships. INFJs are known to be very picky when it comes to choosing a romantic partner, to the point of frustration of their close relatives and friends who all have to repeatedly witness the tedious vetting process with no result. Yet, we need to cut the INFJ some slack. It's hard to find a like-minded individual with similar traits and worldview when you're one of the rarest, if not the rarest, personality type out there. As INFJs, we are hopeless romantics. We dream of a spiritual, romantic love where terms like devotion or the beloved aren't used sparingly. Sadly, for most INFJs, it seems increasingly harder to find that kind of love within the popular, ever-increasing business approach and outlook on modern romantic relationships. Nowadays, your loved one is referred to as your partner. Spending time together is seen as investing in your relationship, and there exists the unspoken agreement that both parties within that romantic relationship need to deliver a 50-50 contribution to the relationship. No more or less. Otherwise, one of the parties will have the sense that they're not getting out of the transaction what's owed to them. The INFJ's skin crawls when witnessing that business relationship mindset all around and slowly sees their chances of finding true love decrease even more than the currently crashing stock markets. Number 7. People-pleasing and self-neglect. Another rampant habit of the INFJ is people-pleasing, also referred to as the disease to please. Because the INFJ's empathy tends to be so strongly developed, they can easily over-empathize with others who are in need, which in turn may cause the INFJ to always feel called to help. The gifts of heightened sensitivity adds to that tendency because it allows INFJs to be extremely perceptive of subtle stimuli, subtle social cues, and emotional energy in their environment. While at first glance, people-pleasing can seem altruistic, it unfortunately often stems from a dark place. People-pleasing could easily be the INFJ's lingering childhood trauma coping mechanism to secure their attachments to significant others. It can become compulsive to the point where INFJs are possessed by this habit. As a natural extension of that, extensive people-pleasing always results in some form of self-neglect, because the focus, energy, time and attention are so aimed towards others that there's little left for the INFJ to allocate towards themselves. Long term, the INFJ will feel unseen, resentful, depleted and burnt out due to their own unmet needs stemming from imbalanced relationships. This is by no means an extensive list of INFJ problems. Do you want me to do another? Let me know in the comments what you thought about these problems and if you would like to see another video of general INFJ problems. Give this video a like and a thumbs up and watch this video next.